There's a device that I've been using called a Whoop.
Hello and welcome back to the 5th season of the International Game of Whoop. I'm Dan Sugano, aka Skittles, and in this video we're going to be covering IGOW5 Preseason Training Ground Challenge number 2, the weBLEEDfpv Split S. So as you can see, it's a beautiful day out, so to try to motivate the Dans to get into the IGOW spirit, I decided to let them go out to some of our favorite locations from past IGOWs to fly for the Emacs example clips. Veteran IGOWers may recognize this place and might even know why I refer to it as the Church of Immelmann. I call this place the Church of Immelmann because 3 years ago when I was filming IGOW2 Split S and Immelmann Challenge, a tiny little scruffy kitten walked up to me and I picked him up, I took him home, and ever since then he's been my cat, you probably know, as Immelmann. That's how he got his name. Hello IGOWers, field reporter Dan here, on location in my natural habitat, the local high school football field. This location is great for many different IGOW challenges because of the big open airspace, the variety of obstacles, and most importantly, the soft turf ground, which will reduce the likelihood of damages when you inevitably crash. Here are the beginner requirements for IGOW5 Preseason Training Ground Challenge number 2, the weBLEED Split S. So to start for this challenge, you're going to need to find or set up any over-under obstacle, and that's simply anything that you can fly both over and then under. And obviously we're going to be using this goalpost here. So to complete the challenge, you're going to have to perform 2 split S on the goalpost, 1 with each roll direction. So we're going to start off the right split S, and then switch, roll direction to a left split S. And then we've completed the beginner requirements of the challenge. I, Skittles, chose the playground because there's a ton of obstacles, including slides, which are one of my favorite things to do with the Whoop. For the intermediate challenge, I've come to a playground because it's another great location for performing IGOW challenges. There's a ton of different gaps, a variety of obstacles, and you'll probably be able to find what you need for the intermediate requirements, and that is a vertical or a dive gap like these monkey bars here. So what you're going to need to do is 2 split S, 1 of each direction through the same dive gap. There's our left split S. Go for our right. And there's our right. So the gap can be any size, but you do want to try to challenge yourself, and that's why I use these monkey bars here for the weBLEED Split S intermediate requirements. Hey everyone, Stickcam Dan here, and of course they brought me in for the most difficult part of the challenge. So for the advanced requirements, I've chosen the awning here at the Church of Immelmann as my over-under obstacle because it's longer, and that's going to help us link our tricks together and make them into a combo. So for the advanced requirements, you're going to have to link the following 4 tricks in order with no bumps, ground taps, or failed attempts. So you're going to be 2 split S and 2 Immelmann. You can start with either left or right, but if you do left first, then you have to do the same direction Immelmann, then switch the opposite direction split S, and finish it off with that same direction Immelmann. And then you've completed the advanced requirements for the weBLEED Split S. Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, it's me. I was calling to make sure you had someone lined up for the challenge breakdown. Yeah, absolutely. I have it totally 100% under control. Sweet. Okay, good. Oh, I gotta go. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Hey everyone, welcome back. Before we get into the more in-depth breakdown of the challenge, I want to talk about this week's title sponsor, weBLEEDfpv. weBLEEDfpv is one of the best Whoop-focused FPV retailers in the hobby, and Zotac is probably the most supportive and positive influence in the FPV community today.
weBLEEDfpv. Shop now, FPV Whoop drones, Whoop gates and accessories, FPV swag. Join the adventure today only at weBLEEDfpv.com. We bleed.
We bleed.
We bleed.
We bleed.
We bleed.
We bleed. We bleed. We bleed.
Know that.
We bleed.
We
we bleed.
We bleed! We bleed!
We bleed!
We Bleed supports every major event at the highest level, including IGOW and RaceGOW. And I'm excited to announce that the champion of IGOW5 will get an invite to become a We Bleed team pilot. Alright, so now let's toss it over to whoever in-house director Dan organized to do the more in-depth challenge breakdown.
Here we go again, I guess. I'm sure it'll be fine. No one's gonna notice a couple extra Dans around the house, right? So what did we put in there last time? Remember, I got a t-shirt, couple of loops, a handful of batteries, and then we had something else in there. What was it? I don't know exactly. Oh, maybe a few Skittles will help? I'll shake a couple in there. Oh crap. That was way too many Skittles. Sure, it'll be fine.
What is up, y'all? It's me, Daniel. You may know me as FPV Skittles, but I'm Dan, the real one. And I'm here to go over with y'all one of my favorite tricks of all time, which happens to be this week's challenge, which is the Split S. Now, there's also an Immelmann turn in there too, but we'll go over that later. But the Split S is an amazing trick. It's going to help you immensely throughout your FPV career. You're never going to stop doing it once you do it, and I'm here to help you because I care. I am the Dan.
I am the Dan. The other Dans, I don't know where they came from. I don't know where they came from. I don't think they're here to help us. I don't think they're here to help you.
But I'm here to help. And we're gonna go over the Split S and all of its tricks, all the tips that I can give you. I'm gonna give you. We're gonna go into liftoff micros. I'm gonna break down each step of the Split S alongside the Immelmann turn. I'm gonna show you some real life examples, and then I'm gonna wrap it up here with y'all and give you some final pieces of advice that you probably should really listen to. Let's get right into it.
All right, y'all, here we are in the simulator. I'm playing liftoff micro drones here. Any simulator will do, though. Your favorite simulator, such as Velocidrone, Liftoff, any of them. We're going to be learning the Split S, which is one of my favorite tricks of all time, and it's very easy to do. It's really important for linking tricks together and just kind of moving around efficiently and in a pretty way. And we're also going to learn a slightly more advanced trick called the Immelmann turn, which looks something like this. You're going to go inverted, and we're going to basically roll to flatten out there. But we're going to break that down, and we're going to break it down and make it easy. Okay, we're going to make all of these easy. The Split S is pretty easy. One of the first tricks you really should learn, and the Immelmann's a little more difficult. But once we break it down to the most basic of steps, you'll be doing them in no time. So let's get started. Firstly, I guess also keep in mind or make sure you're taking a look at my sticks. They're in the bottom of your screen there. Obviously, left stick is yaw, throttle, and we got roll and pitch on the right stick. We're in mode 2, but you should know that by now. We're moving on to slightly more advanced trickery here. So let's get right into it with the Split S. All right, so for the Split S, if we are learning this trick for the first time, we're not going to go ahead and do it on any obstacles just yet. What we're going to do is just go into the open air. And I think this is applicable and good advice if you're flying in real life or a simulator, because it's going to give us more time to do these stick inputs and see what we're doing without the pressure of, an obstacle or the ground or anything like that. So we're gonna start off at about whatever height this is. What height am I at? It's 15 feet? Sure, 15 feet. I see in the top left there. That's what I'm saying. What we're going to start this with is a blip of a throttle. Now, watch my left stick. We're going to do 100% throttle and cut it. 100% throttle, cut it. This is going to give us upward momentum while we're not having to hold throttle. Because throttle is, it's what gets us around. And it is useful in some tricks. But sometimes, a lot of the times, especially when we're going inverted, throttle is our enemy. Because just say I wanted to split S over this obstacle, I would cut my throttle while I do my roll, because if I hold throttle, it's going to pull me out of my intended line. So cutting throttle is important to a lot of tricks, and blipping the throttle will give you the momentum that you need without having to hold throttle down. Hopefully that makes sense. So what we're going to do in the open air here is blip the throttle, and then we're going to do a half roll. Now, hopefully you're in the simulator because you just would have landed upside down in real life and maybe broken your drone. But all the split S is this half roll and then half pitch. So I'm half rolling to the right and I'm pitching down, and that's what levels me out. This is the movement of a split S. Obviously, a split S is more than just an up and down movement. Usually there's an obstacle involved, and usually there's forward momentum involved, and there's a blending of the throttle, and that's what kind of makes it look good. But we can get there when we get there. At first, let's just do the half roll and the half pitch. Now, when you do this half roll and half pitch, you're going to want to start adding throttle to catch yourself from falling. So it's a half roll, half pitch, and then we're going to throttle out of that trick. That will get us, that will save us from crashing into the ground, and it will also propel us in the direction that we're going to ultimately face. So once you get comfortable with this, you're going to notice that I'm doing it to the right side, and that's my favored side. Nothing wrong with having a favored side, but you're for this requirement and in flying in general, you should get comfortable doing this trick, any trick, both ways, because you don't want to be limited. If we're flying around, we have a specific line, and we can't split S to the left, or we can't split S to the right, or one is easier than the other. It could impede us. So it's always good to practice both left and right split S's. So make sure you throw it a couple left, pitch down, left, pitch down, right, left, pitch down, stuff like that. Once you get comfortable with that, we can start doing it with forward momentum. And I think we're gonna want to use an obstacle pretty much right away afterward, because it is going to give us a kind of a gauge for our speed and the trick in general. Although it's not necessarily a requirement. It's going to be a requirement for this challenge. But in general, split S's can be used for things like building dives. We're not going forward. We're really just going down. So, keep in mind when you're flying, it's expressive. You can do whatever you want. But for this challenge, we're going to need an obstacle. So we're going to use this tube here. So what we're going to do, remember that our split S is that half roll, half pitch. But we're going to do that while we're flying forward. So we're going to get some forward momentum. We're going to blip our throttle again. Half roll, half pitch. And then look at that. We flew right under it. Now we're going to do the split S. We're going to do another one. Half roll, half pitch. Throttle out. And we're under there. And don't forget, we're going to do it to the left too. So half roll, half pitch. And we throttle out of there. And one more. Half roll, half pitch. And that's it. So we're blipping that. We're maintaining our forward momentum. We're blipping the throttle. We're cutting the throttle. And that's what's getting us over the obstacle while at zero throttle. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Now we know the basics of a split S is where you can kind of add in a little bit of style, or what style comes from is really just the blending of these elements, these rolls, the pitch and the throttle to just kind of make it smooth. So you can play around with that, do it slow, do it fast, whatever suits your flight style. But that's what makes the trick look good, in my opinion, and makes it so versatile and just an awesome trick. And once you get the split S under your belt, you're going to be doing it everywhere. You link tricks with it. It's an awesome move. Like I said, you can do building dives, different variations. It's a great trick. Can't recommend it enough. And one more thing I want to mention here, as it is going to impact us for this week if we're going for the intermediate requirement, is a dive gap. So we're going to split S. It's going to require us to split S into a gap of some kind. It doesn't have to be this narrow, but when you're doing that, one thing the simulator doesn't really do an accurate job of representing is when we're doing split S, like if I do a split S to the right in the game, or basically when I cut throttle in the game, I lose all momentum. In real life, if you go up in the air, you do a half roll and you cut throttle, you wouldn't fall straight down to the ground. Your propellers are still spinning, they're idle, and they're pulling you in the direction that you're facing. So in real life, if I were to do this, cut throttle, went to the side, I'd actually be moving a little bit to the right. as I tried to illustrate there. And especially with a whoop that's very light, that idle, that motor idle, is actually going to pull you a noticeable amount, and it's going to be more noticeable when we're having to be precise and dive things like a gap. So what am I saying? When you're diving a gap, if I was diving this with the split S to the right, I wouldn't start the attempt by going straight at it in the center, because when I do this roll to the right, it's actually going to pull me a little bit to the right. That was over dramatized right there, right? But I'm going to start a little bit to the left, and I think you should see that in my live flight examples. And this way, when I roll to the right, it's going to pull me a little bit toward the center, toward where I want to go, and also vice versa. So just keep that in mind. It's a little tip that I kind of wanted to include, because it is something that you probably run into. Yeah, that helps. And finally, what I want to go over here is the Immelmann turn. Now, this is going to be a trick that is part of the advanced requirement, so you don't have to do it. But if you're interested in learning it, I'll try to give you a couple tips here. The Immelmann is a lot like the split S, and when we break it down into its most simple form, or what it is, but remember, a split S is a half roll, half pitch. The Immelmann is half pitch, half roll. So once you get used to that, you know, half pitch, half roll, do both left and right, because you're going to need to for the requirement, and you should anyway. Should practice that anyway. We're going to start incorporating the momentum, which is, I think, what makes this trick difficult. Now, I'm just going to show you an example first, then we'll break it down. An Immelmann turn looks like this. So what you're doing, right? You're flying one direction, you're throwing yourself backwards, and then rolling to then fly in the other direction. What makes the trick difficult, I guess, is this blind throw, this type of maneuver, because it's the same throttle blip. You'll see that, but it's also incorporating back pitch. I make my pitch a little snappy at the end, because, you know, when we pitch backwards or when we blip the throttle, we kind of want our drone to throw us up and back. Not necessarily straight up or not necessarily straight back, because that's going to, we want height and backwards momentum. So we want to pitch ourselves back a little bit. That's when we do the throttling, and then I want to get back to inverted, you know, as quickly as possible to see where I'm going and to complete the trick. So just kind of watch my sticks here. So that's what an Immelmann turn is in its most simple form. And you're going to want to do that a couple times. Just, you know, get an open air, throw yourself back, kind of find that spot that when you kind of flick your pitch, you don't necessarily have to. You can do it slow. It's just a little more awkward because you're going to start falling. You're going to lose that backwards momentum. And I think what makes the trick look good is kind of like a snappy back flick type of thing, you know? So this was going to take a little bit of time if we're starting out brand new, but that's okay. This is a great place to learn it. And once we master that, once we get comfortable with that, we're going to start incorporating obstacles. We're going to fly under the obstacle and then Immelmann turn over it. And we're going to do it in both roll directions. So one to the left and one to the right. And not to overwhelm you, but also what makes this trick look good is a blending of yaw. This is kind of more advanced here, but when you're doing roll tricks, if we don't incorporate yaw, our camera, depending on our camera tilt, I have a relatively low camera tilt at about 20, but watch where my focal point is on the camera here. Ready? It kind of goes straight down. When we blend yaw, we can make it so it doesn't. It almost keeps looking straight. You'll notice that in my bottom left stick. This is real inside baseball here, folks. I also incorporate that into my Immelmanns. So if I'm doing this backwards throw, I'm trying to keep my horizon level when I do the turn. Don't necessarily have to. Certainly don't have to. It's just kind of a subconscious thing that I do when I do these tricks, is kind of blending in that. So yeah, that's a lot of info. That's a lot of info, y'all. But, you know, just practice it. It's when we break it down, it's essentially like the opposite of a split ass. And once you get used to that backwards flick, you know, once you have that backwards momentum, you find the angle that you want to throw yourself back in. You'll get used to it. You'll get to it in no time. So hopefully that helps kind of figure out the stick movements in the sim, and this way you're crashing less in the real world. But let's get into some real life. Let's get into some real life flight footage now.
All right, so here we are with some IRL examples. You'll notice that I'm showcasing I found an object that I can both pass under and over. That's our requirement for our split S here. Any obstacle will do, and we're going to do both our split S's, one to the left and one to the right. Fairly simple. We're going to slow it down. So we're going over the top of the obstacle, doing a right-hand split S, passing under it. Then we're going to go again in the same clip. We're going to do a split S to the left, passing over it and passing under it again with no bumps or ground taps for any of these, okay? We're moving on to the second requirement. Just so happened there's a nice dive gap in this obstacle, and it's just going to be the same thing. Any size dive gap will do. We're going to approach it. We're going to do a right-hand split S or a left-hand split S, whatever one you want to start with. Go through the dive gap and pull out, and then immediately go into the opposite one through the dive gap, pull out, no bumps or ground taps. For the advanced requirement, I do recommend finding a larger obstacle, such as some larger awning. I'm using the pass-through of my house here, and we're going to do our split S into an Immelmann, immediately into the opposite direction split S in the opposite direction Immelmann, again with no bumps or ground taps. Here we're going to slow it down. So, you know, this is what I'm showing you, the length of the obstacle I'm going for here. We're going to split S. I chose to start with the right-hand split S, passing under the obstacle. Then we're going to go into a right Immelmann, immediately into a left split S, to then pass under our obstacle before finishing the trick by using a left-hand Immelmann out of it. And that is the outdoor example. Well, we can also do it indoors. Here's me doing it indoors on a cube gate. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Obviously, our space is a little bit more limited, but certainly can do it. We're just going to split S the length of the cube here and then pass through it. Same thing, over it and then through it. That is our number one requirement. Number two requirement, the same thing. We're going to split S through the top, which is in and of itself a gate, and that will work. I kind of slowed it down for you here. Just notice on my approach to the cube, I'm going to be leaning toward one side or the other. So for my left, I'm sort of on the right side of the cube. This way my roll will kind of pull me in toward the middle. Finally, the advanced requirement's a bit more difficult because we have limited space to work with here, but I'm going to slow that down really quickly. We're going to go ahead and split S over it. To the right, we're going to do an immediate right-hand Immelmann, but we don't have a lot of space, so we got to finish that and then go into our left-hand split S, and then end it with our left-hand Immelmann. And that is it. Just showing you that you can do it indoors as well if you want. I hope you enjoyed that split S lesson. It really is an amazing trick. It's not too difficult. That's the best part about it. And you can sprinkle it in here and there throughout your FPV flights to kind of add some flourish, add some flair to it, and it's just a really fun trick. And you're going to be using it later on in IGOW, especially that week everyone loves, the building dive week. Guess how you get into building dives? With split S's, okay? You're going to love them. You're going to love them. I'm glad. Hopefully I helped out. Thank you for watching. And before you go, I just want to tell you,
don't listen to them. Don't listen to any of them. I'm the only one that can help you. He's going to come here in a minute. He's coming for you. He's going to come for you. Don't listen to him. Remember me. I am the Dan. I am the Dan. I am the Dan.
Okay, IGOWers, I hope the challenge breakdown was useful. Thanks for watching, and as always, remember that I am Dan Sugano, aka Skittles. The actual Dan. The real Dan. The original Dan. The one true Dan.
The Dan you love the most.
Moment. Oh, there he is. There's the apples. Those delectables. Mm. Mm.